So the, did that work? Oh yeah, that worked. Okay. So the last of the niyamas is Ishvara Pranidhana, and I find this one to be the hardest out of all of them. So if you think about what we've kind of moved through over the last couple of weeks, all of the niyamas are very action. I think they're not always so action oriented, but they are tools, that kind of like you have a tangible thing that you can be like, I'm working with this, right? So, sensing or like working with contentment, working with purifying your mind and your body, working with self-study, working with the discipline of, tapas, being able to sit in uncomfortableness to kind of expand your resiliency. All these things kind of, you can take a bite out of them a little bit, whereas Ishvara Pranidhana, I think is, and maybe that's why it's like the last one, is a little bit more challenging. So, Ishvara is, the divine. And so Ishvara Pranidhana is to kind of surrender to the divine and to give up, to offer your efforts in the world out there to what your perception of a higher power is. It could be offering, your efforts to another person. It could be to your vision of God or whatever that is for you. And I think the essence of it is to learn how to trust. And to me, this is the hardest part. So, especially, I've over the years as a hospice nurse, I've had such joy watching people who have a deep faith because I think faith is so comforting, especially at the end of life. Um, and it's such a marvel to me when I see people who have just such a solid faith. Like I know this is what my path is. I know this is where I'm going. I know this is my purpose. And what a beautiful thing to have that kind of surety. I know that was a deep comfort for my dad when he died, was that he had such a vision of where he was going and such a sense of a surety that he belonged. And I think if you're a little more untethered than that, it can be difficult to recognize the deep sense of just trusting in the flow. So I often think of that prayer, the Serenity Prayer, God grant me the capacity, the willingness, whatever that word is, to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I think this says a lot about Ishvara Pranidhana, that we need to do the work where we can, and we need to surrender where we realize that we have no control. We need to just surrender and let go, and to let go of the tree branches on the side of the river and let yourself flow with that river can be quite challenging. It can be scary, and it can be filled with unknowns. And so that aspect of Ishvara Pranidhana, I think, can be challenging. But I think it's also just such a beautiful gift to recognize every day that you can offer yourself outward into the world for something greater than yourself. So think about the ways in which this shows up in your life. How do you offer yourself outward in service of others? How do you trust? How is your faith? What is your faith life like? Do you struggle when you don't have control over things, or do you easily kind of let go and move into the flow? And I'm sure it's some aspects of this are easier than other aspects of it. Like for me, offering myself outward to the world is much easier than feeling like I don't have control of things sometimes. So I'm not sure where you all land in that on that aspect of Ishvara Pranidhana, but what a comfort, right? To recognize that we are powered by something greater than ourselves and that we belong to something greater than ourselves and that we can give way, that we can surrender to that. So a lot of the practices today are going to be about surrender. We'll do some restoratives and we'll do some work before the restoratives so that you're prepared for them. And when we get there, when we get to those restoration practices, try to let one of the aspects of your postures be about the feeling of surrender in your body. As always, these physical practices of asana practices are the gateway for the deeper work of the mind. So if we can practice letting go in our body, then maybe we have just a little bit more capacity to let go in our mind, or to let go in the actions or what other people are doing. Practice in the body first, as always, right? Practice everything in the body first. Okay, so let's close our eyes and sit up straight and tall and find a moment to just settle into your seat and drop your awareness down in your body. The breath always has something to teach us. No matter what we're thinking of or working with, our breath is there as a helper and a guide. So every breath, we have this opportunity to lengthen the exhales. And I know we talk about the long exhales as being one of the greatest gifts for coping with stress and anxiety, but it's also this beautiful gift of learning how to surrender. So as you begin your breath work here, just notice what the exhales feel like. Do you retain a little too much, or are you able to fully let go? We never fully let go of our breath. There's always about a 10% volume left in our lungs. We save that last 10% for the very last breath. So what can you do to get to that 10% to make sure that you're not retaining 20%, but that you're really letting your air go? Let the body respond to this. And notice the sweetness of the inhale, that when your breath comes after that surrender, that there's a gift to be received in the incoming breath. Put yourself in that flow. See if you can relax your shoulders, soften everything you can through your face. If there's tension patterns in your skull or your face, see what you can do to surrender there. Begin to lift your heart space and attune to your sense of a higher power. What is the aspect of the divine that you can touch just right here and right now? Drop your knees. See if there's an aspect of weightedness that you can get in your legs. Feeling the weight of your pelvis soften toward the earth. Try not to disrupt the breath just because you're now thinking about your lower body. And see if you can surrender now through the pelvic bowl, through the belly. And then perhaps sensing into the release of the diaphragm. Try not to control anything, just observe. Is there anything to let go? And then bring your hands together. And think of this serenity prayer, the willingness to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can. Courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. This speaks so clearly to the sutra of never give up and always let go. Offer an intention here. And then relax. Let's find our way to our back. All right. So as you stretch out and lengthen on the floor, let me lie down. See what it feels like to have some space. And knowing that we're going to do some restoratives toward the end of class, let's start with just a little bit of a restorative here. Feel a mini shavasana and concentrate on the yielding. So we know that the first aspect of yielding is to drop our weight down, to feel the connection and support of the earth. We can use this support to guide us into strength and movement and all the things we need to do. But the first step is to feel the surrender and to feel the support. Can you trust the ground to hold you? And then reach your arms overhead and have some movement. Stretching the right, stretching the left, and we'll come into this nice side body length and space. And then draw your knees into your chest and rocking a little bit. To me, rocking is just another way to play with the idea of letting go. You know, a little bit less control. It's important to have control sometimes in our body to stabilize ourselves and to move with efficiency and good, movements for our body. But also, we need to learn to surrender. Okay, so the balance of effort and surrender. Right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground. And let's move our wiggle of our toes, move our ankles, and prepare our feet. Okay. Melt the head. Notice that the minute directive movement, like moving your feet, comes in, suddenly your head wants to be a part of it. So notice that and melt your head, melt your shoulders. Okay, let's cross the right knee over to the left and stretch open to a big twist and let your body breathe. Only go as far as the spine is ready for. Deep breath in, a long exhale. All right, coming back to center, switching sides, left knee in, right leg long on the ground, and feel some movement. Wiggle your toes, roll around in your ankles, feel some freedom. Rest your head again, relax the shoulders, keep paying attention to the ways that the body tenses or wants to control when it doesn't have to. And then we'll cross that left knee over to the right, twisting open, expand through your chest and breathe. A deep inhale and exhale. All right, and then come back to a star on the ground, stretching your limbs wide. Roll your wrists and your ankles, wiggle your fingers and your toes. A deep breath to spread on out and an exhale to draw it in. One more time, move with the breath. An inhale to expand your body and an exhale to condense. And then we'll roll to our side and come up to our hands and our knees. As you find all fours, take a little time to yield before we start moving through some cat-cows. So maybe drop some weight into the right side and then drop some weight into the left side. So we feel the surrender into the earth and then the pushing off. The surrendering into the earth and then the pushing off. And maybe do a little circling where you feel that yielding into one hand and then into one knee and then the other knee and the other hand. Kind of going in a little bit of a circle. And this is very different than just locking out your joints and rolling around. Yes, your weight bearing will shift, but it's different than yielding. So feel that every joint that you, or every limb that you lean into, you also push off of. Lean and push, and lean and push. How's the breath? So we have to unlock our elbows, unlock your shoulders, unlock your hips. We go the other direction, yielding, yielding. And when you feel ready, we can add a little cacao into this yielding. So yield into forelimbs, push off the ground and lift your head and tail. And then relax and surrender and yield again, and then push into that scared cat, rounding the spine. Moving with the breath, moving with that sense of releasing from the ground, pushing off, and then yielding back in. Feel the ripples through your body. All right, and then tail wagging if you'd like. Swish, swish, swish. Feel free to move around in your shoulders, move any which way you want. How's the breath? Long, steady exhales. Feel the gift of the inhale. And then when you're ready, we'll stretch back to a child's pose and walk the hands out in front of you and lengthen through your body. Drop some weight into your sit bones, relax your head. A full deep breath in, a complete deep breath out. We'll walk the hands over to one side. Feel some drop through your sit bones. Open up your ribs. And of course, this is a big stretch, but can you find a little yielding within the stretch? Maybe the base of your skull can let go a little bit more. Maybe the exhale can lengthen. Walk your hands over to the other side and enjoy all this length. And especially if you've been through a lot in this last week, if grief is setting on you, Jamie, we're all thinking of you. If physical injuries are setting upon you, or whatever it is, see if you can just let your practice be nourishing for your body, for your mind, for your heart. Come back to center and feel yourself settle into a child's pose. Breathe along the back side of your body. Melt your head. And come back up to all fours. Let's find our twist. Reaching the arm up, maybe a wrist roll. Exhale, slide that arm under and enjoy the twisting. Melt something. Make sure your head can rest comfortably on the ground. That hand that's pressing in, can you yield and then push? How's your breath? Can your exhales be full? And then inhale, bring that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground and we'll switch sides. Arm up. Drop that arm under. Twisting to this side. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then we'll Reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground, lift up into a dog pose. As you come to this posture, take a little time, pedal your feet, feel the ground, have a moment of yielding your weight perhaps into one side and then the other side. So just take a moment to not get to the full expression yet, but to just kind of feel the dynamics of the earth, of the grounding of this pose, the yielding of this pose. Feel free to pedal. Lots of movements available to you. How's your head? Do you need to bobble it around at all? And then when you're ready, find a little stillness. Yield and push and reach through the body. Find the full breath. And then walk your feet forward and come to Uttanasana. Forward fold. Relax your skull. Inhale for a halfway lift, opening up through the body again here, maybe pedaling your feet again in this position so our hips start to move, opening up our calves and our hamstrings and our feet in a little bit different way. Feel free to, as your leg straightens, to pick up your toes on that side, of waking up the whole backs of the legs, and then melt again and forward fold. Push through the feet, rising up. Bring the arms upward to the sky and lift the heart. And as cactus, open the chest, spread your wings. Exhale and round in. As you lift your heart up, again, arms to the sky, consciously lift the heart. And maybe, you just lift it up into the offering of the day. Maybe you can connect to your sense of a higher power or the divine. Maybe it's just bringing your heart into the light. Something broader than just you, yourself on this mat. Open yourself up to something more. Okay, let's expand and cactus the arms again, reaching upward, and then a swan dive forward to fold. Relax your head. A halfway lift, opening through the body. Exhale and melt back down. Step back to a dog pose, long spine, breathing deep. Feel that length in you again. Yield and push and reach. And feel your breath. Connect in. Yield your head, melt your face. What can surrender here? Come forward into a plank. Ground the whole hand, root down. How's the breath? And find the earth. Let's roll the shoulders a couple of times. Inhale, open your chest. Exhale, surrendering down. Rising up, letting go. All the breath out. We'll do one more. Rising up. All the breath out. Back up onto all fours and move your spine around. Lift to a dog pose when you're ready. Feel the extension when we come into this pose over and over. What changes? Yield, breathe. Try to let go of something. Surrender is very hard. Control, letting go of control. We don't have control over many things in life, so learning to not need it is such a gift. Walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. A halfway lift, opening up through the heart. And exhale, releasing back down. Push through the feet, rising up. Open your chest and release your arms down. Pausing here in Tadasana and feel the yielding in your Tadasana. Practice giving way in your body, opening yourself up to anything that might occur. Okay. Can you trust? Our relationship with control is very complex. We can think we've got it figured out, and oh yeah, I go with the flow. And then life knocks you with something, and you're like, oh wait, I still have more work to do on that letting go aspect. So just practice here, simple practice. Let go through the soles of your feet. Let go of the exhale, slow and steady. Relax tension. Can you have structural support without tension? Think of the wabi-sabi practices we've practiced before where, somebody's kind of, the wakame rather, not wabi-sabi, wakame, where somebody's pushed you in one direction and you've let your body kind of follow that direction. Imagine, okay, I'll tell a body part for now, and you imagine that a hand is gently pushing you in that direction. So the back of your right hip, someone's pushing you forward. The front of your right shoulder, someone's pushing you back. Gentle. Okay. The back of your left knee, someone's pushing it forward. The top of your front left hip, someone's pushing it back. Right shoulder, someone's pushing it back. Your head, someone's bringing it forward. Both knees, someone's bringing your knees into a bend. Someone's lifting the top of your head up toward the sky. And then pause. Breathe and surrender into the ground. Take a deep breath in, rise up, open heart again, lift yourself, keep the heart open, available. Exhale, releasing back down. A halfway lift, open through your spine. Exhale to melt. Step your left foot back, come to a lunge, right foot's in front. Ground yourself. Move through the flow with your breath, straightening and bending your front knee. Enjoying your body, enjoying your breath. All right, ground yourself. Hop up onto your right foot. Bring your blocks with you. Half splits. Extending through your heart. Take a deep breath in. Tuck down into a one-legged squat. Inhale, press those legs straight. Exhale, step back to a crescent lunge. Arms up to the sky. Practice a little balance. Take yourself off control. Look up. Breathing deeply. Release the hands down. Left hand to the ground, right hand to the sky, and twist. Finding your breath. All right, we'll turn to the side edge of your mat. Come into a deep low squat, elbows inside your knees. Nice wide squat here. Open up your legs. And then we'll turn back to the front of your mat. Back foot comes forward. Fold. Push through your feet, rising up. Open that heart. Exhale. Trace down through the midline of the body. Palms stay together. Breathing in. Breathing out. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, folding forward. Step the right foot back, come to a lunge. Ground yourself. Start to move, bending and straightening the front knee. Live inside your breath. Pay attention to those long exhales. Feel the gift of the inhale that comes. The breath is such a teacher of letting go of control, of trusting, surrendering, giving way to what we don't have control over. Hop up onto that left foot. Extend your right leg in the air. Half splits. Feel the heart expand open. Keep the pelvis square. Engage your core. Deep breath, and as you exhale, tuck down in. Inhale, press it straight. Come all the way back, crescent lunge on this side, reaching the arms up. Look up, challenge your balance, close your eyes, do something that makes you off. Sit inside the uncomfortableness of the lack of control. And then release your arms, turn to the side again. Squat down. Wide legs, let your knees kind of open up, dropping into the earth. Okay, push through your feet, rising back, finding your breath. Exhale, goddess pose. Inhale up, gathering some energy. Exhale, let it travel through you. Twice more. Open your knees up. Keep your heart lifted. Pause here in your goddess pose. Can you yield something? Open your chest. Inhale, standing star. Turn back to the front of your mat for a dog pose. Feeling that extension in your body. Reach and lengthen. Full breaths here. Come forward into a plank. Ground yourself. Find the earth. Lie down. Inhale for a cobra. Exhale and relax. Come up onto all fours and then find your way back to a child's pose. Surrender here. Full breaths. And inhale and an exhale. Ground through your feet, lift to a dog. Feel that extension again. When you're ready, walking your feet forward. Push through the feet and rise. Trace down through the center. If you need a wall or a piece of furniture, take that. We'll stand on our right foot and grab our left. Take your index finger and thumb and touch them of your right hand and bring them face up in front of you. Open your heart, drop your knee. Not going anywhere, just here. And then release that hand and knee down. Of course, you can be holding the wall. If you want, grab your other knee. Try not to let your knee go out. Drop it down. Your left hand's in front of you. And if you feel wobbly, no problem. Just kind of find your way. Index finger and thumb touching. Lift the heart. Round through your leg. Look up just slightly. Not up toward the sky, but upward. All right, and then release that down again. And we'll come to the first side again. If you need balance, we're going to dip a little deeper now that we've opened up our quads into a dancer pose. Okay, so grab onto your left ankle, standing on the right foot. Ground yourself. If you need to hold something, hold something. This time, turn your palm down, index finger and thumb touching. Find your breath. And then turn your palm up, let your shoulder drop down, shoulder blade drop down. Square hips, take a deep breath. And when you come forward, reach your hand and your eyes upward a little bit instead of down. Doesn't have to go very far in this pose to challenge yourself. Breathing deeply. Square hips, square shoulders. Unlock your standing knee. Think of your yielding foot. And then come back to center. So you may not be in your deepest pose, and that's okay. See if you can keep your vision looking forward and up instead of looking down at the ground. Let's grab onto your other foot. So we're holding the right now, standing on your left foot. Start with your palm facing down, index finger and thumbs touching, other finger stretched out. Square your chest, hips to the front. Flip your hand over, palm is up, shoulder blade down. We'll start to lift your arm a little bit, follow that with your gaze, and tip forward. Keep your eyes where your hand is. Breathing. Breathing. Square hips, square shoulders. Trust. Even if you fall apart, can you trust? Try not to feel like you need control. And then come back and release that foot down to the ground and be so thankful for 2 feet on the ground. Inhale, heart lifts again. Exhale and surrender to fold. A halfway lift, opening up through your heart. Exhale to relax. Step back to a dog. Deep breaths here. Well, let's come forward into a plank. Find the ground. Now you can do any back bend you want, but your thighs are open, so if you'd like to reach back and grab your heels, maybe a Dhanurasana, maybe something different. Your choice. All right, relax. Put your head on your hands and windshield wiper your knees. We'll draw our left knee up toward our armpit. Look at your knee for a moment. Take a twist. Cross that arm underneath you and roll open. Enjoy your chest expanding. Melt into the earth. Come back around. Switching sides. Knee up. Cross that arm underneath you. Twist open. Deep breath here. Surrender your body. All right, relax there. So either a pigeon pose or a reverse pigeon pose. We're not going to be in this pose forever, but we're going to just have a moment where we open up our hips so that we're prepared for a Supta Baddha Konasana. Okay, so whichever leg you want in front first, go ahead and take that. Square the pelvis, stretch your heart forward and come on down. Find your version of your pigeon. Make sure that leg behind you is straight. Focus on your breath again. The long exhales. Surrender what you can. We'll come out of the posture when you're ready. You can do a dog pose in between. You can just switch your legs. If you're on your back, just switch your legs. Take any props you need to support you in your pigeon or reverse pigeon. Feel the length of your spine and surrender toward the ground. Head on a block or on your hands or on the floor. Check in with your skull. Make sure the base of your skull is relaxed, your eyes, your jaw, your tongue. Hips are square. Melt. And then when you're ready, come on up and out of there. Okay. Sit on the edge of your blanket for a moment if you'd like. Soles of the feet together. Take a forward fold. Let your back round a little bit. All right. Come on up. We're going to move into Supta Baddha Konasana. So if you have lots of props, use all your props. So I'm going to use a bolster today, and you use whatever you have. Okay, so hopefully you've got all your favorite things. I'm going to make a little ramp. So I have the blocks under my bolster so that I'm a little bit elevated. I'm going to have pillows for underneath my elbows, and I'm going to have a blanket for underneath each knee. Maybe you have a different setup. You do you. Okay, so however your favorite way of moving into this pose is for you. Maybe you have an extra pillow for your head, for under your head. We'll be here for a few minutes, so set up in a way that is very nourishing to you, that you feel really supported, like you're in a nest. It's important to prop yourself. If you're hanging, we often can't surrender. The feeling of needing to control your limbs when you're hanging in space is very difficult to override. Your nervous system, your proprioception is aware that you're not being held, and it will guard. Okay, so try to get something under every little nook and cranny that you might need support in, so that your body feels like every limb, head, arms, legs, and your spine can all melt into the props that you have. Nothing should feel like it's hanging or having to hold itself. Okay, so organize that within your body. And once you get comfortable, and it's okay to be like, oh, that's not quite right, or this I wish was different. Wiggle around, make some adjustments, anything that you need. And then we'll be here for a few minutes. Okay, so allow yourself to just settle in for the ride. Remember, the goal here is to practice the art of surrender, to practice letting go of control, to practice the long exhales, to soften the body, to let the earth hold you, to be in this moment. Let go of the future, let go of the past. Just here, surrender to here and now. I read yesterday somewhere that if you feel that God is nowhere, change the letters and recognize that God is now here instead of nowhere, now here. Present moment. Part of learning to trust and surrender is to ask for what you need. So ask right now, do you need healing? Let healing be bestowed upon you. Do you need a sense of connection or belonging? What do you need? Just ask for this. When you're ready to transition, you can move to legs up the wall or any other restorative pose that you'd prefer, or stay right here. You do not have to move. You have about 5 minutes to do another pose. So if you'd like to do legs up the wall, you can take a blanket and bring it close to the wall and put your pelvis up on it and lift your legs up. Maybe you're staying right where you are. Maybe you're choosing something totally different. Sometimes when I do legs up the wall, I want a blanket under my head as well as underneath my pelvis. You can adjust your props to whatever your preference is. If you want to go higher under your hips, that's fine too. And if you are doing legs up the wall, you can take any position with your legs. You can have them straight up, you can take them wide like a V, Baddha Konasana, cross-legged, or feet on the wall. whatever pose you're in, you can stay in, or if you'd like to transition to Shavasana in a more traditional way, you can do that too. So any support you need or want, take your time so that your body is comfortable. Move props that you don't need out of your way, so you're not touching anything you don't want to be touching. And if you're still in Supta Baddha Konasana or leg up the wall or something else, that's fine too. There's no rules here about ending your practice in a certain way. Return to that deep sense of surrender. Drop your limbs, drop your head. Feel your breath. Let's begin to deepen our breathing. And before you move, just surrender one more time. Consciously practicing that art of imagining that you're in a river just being carried. There's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to grasp. And then invite some movement in your body. Any which way you'd like to move. Making that transition out of Shavasana with intention. See if you can bring your breathing body up to a comfortable seat as you're ready, taking your time. Spend a moment, a breath on your side. As you find your way upright, notice if your sensing of surrender is a little more profound than when we began practice. If you're a capacity to just breathe deeply and let the breath go, to drop into a state of ease and surrender. Is it easier now? Let's offer this energy outward, kind of letting that sense of surrender pass through us so that our energy can move toward another. Send out our love. Remember, it's not just your energy that you're sending out, but you're a conduit of the divine. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.